Please don't forget, like, share, subscribe and hit the bell. You know it makes sense. Come on, you Irons. Welcome to Transfer Talk on Forge from Iron. I am Gatesy, your host. Couple of stories that are out there on the internet. This one I'm going to bring to you first is from the website Football League World. The headline is West Ham join race for Derby County trio. Leeds and Celtic are also linked with these players. Now, it goes on to say that we hold a very strong interest in Derby County's 20-year-old Jason Knight, whilst midfielder Max Bird and left-back Lee Buchanan are also on our radar. This is according to ex-WHU employee, who I think it's fairly safe to say is a very reliable source of information from the club. Now, if you're not familiar with the situation at Derby County, they've obviously had an awful lot of financial turbulence that has unravelled in the last month or two. And they've also been subject to a couple of penalties that have been handed out to them in terms of their points tally in the championship, which has left them rock bottom of the EFL championship, as I record this, after 21 games. Despite the fact they have won 4 and drew 10, they are on 1 point as a result of the penalties that they've incurred. Rock bottom of the championship, and are in an awful lot of trouble, not only in terms of their position, but also in terms of their finances. It could well be that we are the beneficiaries of this, because obviously with the situation that they're in, it may well be that there are certain players they need to get off of the books. May even be that there's certain players that actually want to leave in the first place. But these 3 players have been mentioned. So Jason Knight, just to give you a little bit of information about this guy. Now, he's 20 years of age. He's a central midfielder, can also play as an attacking midfielder or right midfielder. He has 8 caps for the Republic of Ireland and 1 goal. He's played for the Republic of Ireland national team from under-17s right the way up to under-21s in the youth categories before he made his debut for the full national team. 20 years of age, he's a right footer, and he is under contract at Derby County until the 30th of June 2023. Now, there's just to give you some stats here about this particular player. Now, he is he's got an average of 0.7 key passes, 0.7 shots, 0.9 tackles, and 1.6 aerial duels won in his league outings per match, this is, which actually is better than what Mark Noble has managed this season. In actual fact, for context, it's quite similar to what Declan Rice has managed, who has also managed 0.7 shots per match and 0.9 key passes. So very, very similar stats on those metrics. As I say, linked is Lee Buchanan. Lee Buchanan is a left back. Now, if anyone's watching this wants to go back and watch, there was a You Are the Manager series that we did. And when Russ Budden did his contribution, Russ Budden from the West Ham network, Lee Buchanan was a player that he mentioned. Now, he was quite glowing about this particular player. Now, his contract is actually up in the summer of 2022. Now, again, he's 20 years of age. So, again, we're talking potential here. Maybe not necessarily someone that is going to come into the team, same as Jason Knight, and hit the ground running, although you never know. But 20 years of age, and his contract is up in the summer. He's a left back, left-footed, obviously. Can also play at centre-back, according to Transfer Market. However, his height is listed at 1.75 metres, and I believe that's 5'9". So not exactly a dominating stature for a centre-back. But then again, in fairness, neither was Steve Potts. As far as national honours are concerned, Lee Buchanan has been capped for the under-19s, under-20s and 21s for England. and has made 15 appearances in the Championship this season. The third player of this particular trio, Max Bird. Now, Max Bird, his contract runs until the 30th of June 2024. He's made 21 appearances this season, got 1 goal, 1 assist. And looking at this, just to sort of give you an idea how highly this player has been rated by Wayne Rooney, the Derby County manager. He has been in the starting 11 for 95% of the time, and he's played 96% of the minutes. So he's obviously a player that Wayne Rooney has rated in his time as Derby manager. Again, he's left-footed, 1.83 metres tall. His main position is a defensive midfielder, so he would obviously provide cover for Thomas Souček and Declan Rice, but he can also be deployed as a central midfielder. His contract is up 30th of June 2024, and these 3 players have been linked in as a conversation that ex-WHU employee has articulated, that Jason Knight is the one that we're on the radar of, and also these other 2, Lee Buchanan and Max Bird. In my opinion, I think this is the sort of signings that I think not every single signing will need to come from the Championship. Admittedly, we need to get certain players in of quality that have played at a higher level, but I'm actually quite for the idea of dipping into the lower leagues and trying to find a bargain, trying to find that sort of diamond in the rough to polish up, nurture the talent, and bring through at a later stage. Now, it's regrettable, obviously, for Derby fans. For Derby are a magnificent football club, have an awful lot of history, and I feel desperately sorry for any team that's in a situation like this where their finances have just completely collapsed from under them, and there's something of a fire sale that's probably going to happen. And any talent, I mean, we've been there. I remember in 2003 when we got relegated and we lost Joe Cole, we lost Glenn Johnson, Jermaine Defoe, Trevor Sinclair. There was a raft of players that left pretty much immediately after we were relegated, and we was in an awful lot of financial trouble. So I feel for Derby as a club. I feel for Derby's fans, because they're the ones that are ultimately going to suffer because of the mismanagement that's happened at a boardroom level. But that being said, if these players need to be sold to allow the club to recover in some way, shape or form, then that's just the way it is. They're going to go to another club. These are 3 players who are quite clearly have an awful lot of scope for potential and to improve in the game of football. As I say, they're 20 years of age, and they've got an awful lot of potential ahead of them. So why shouldn't we be looking at players like this? I would be all over this. I would absolutely endorse these particular signings, whichever, whether it's just one of the 3, 2 of the 3, or if we maybe go for all 3 players in some sort of deal. I don't know. It may well be that that's what happens. The one thing that I will say though is I think it's really important that we don't heap too much pressure on these players to come in and immediately make an impact in the first team. I think that if we're going to get these players in, it's important that we don't look at them and think that they need to be coming in straight away. And if there's a couple of games that have gone past where they're sitting on the bench and they've not come on, or they've come on for 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, whatever, that we're not all turning around and saying, well, this was an absolute waste of time. It's something that I think is a bit of a strength of David Moyes, is that he can find players that operate a level under the Premier League and be able to bring them in to the Premier League team, like he's done with Jared Bowen, like he's done with Saeed Benrahma, and get them to up to speed, up to the quality of the Premier League. And for me, I think that these are 3 potential signings that if we go for in January, then I think that would be something I would be completely behind. I would endorse it. But again, you guys, you may have a completely different point of view to me. So, as usual, guys, there is a comment section that is below. Please get stuck into this. So the players are all three from Derby County: Jason Knight, Irish central midfielder; Lee Buchanan, English left back; and Max Bird, English defensive mid. They are all, well, Max Bird is 21 years of age, Lee Buchanan and Jason Knight are 20 years of age. So what do you think? Are these players that you think we ought to be looking at? Or do you have a slightly different point of view? Do you think that maybe these are players that are possibly below the level that we ought to be looking at? Let me know your thoughts. Comment section is below. Get stuck into it, please. The next story I'd like to bring to you comes from the website Tribal Football, and it says West Ham eyeing Liverpool defender Nat Phillips. Now, we all know that at the minute we have something of a crisis at centre-back. We've obviously lost Angelo Ogbonna for the rest of the season, and it's been confirmed that Kurt Zouma has a hamstring injury, which is going to put him out for some considerable time, just at a time of the season when we're getting to the really busy Christmas, New Year period. So we've only at this particular moment in time got two proper, what I would call proper centre-backs in Issa Diop and Craig Dawson. Yes, I know that there are other players that could play as a centre-back. I mean, Cresswell can play as a left-sided centre-back if we play a back three, back five. I know that Declan Rice could drop there. I know that Thomas Souček could drop there. I know that Alex Crowell could drop in at centre-back. But I'm talking in terms of recognised out-and-out centre-backs with experience. We've only got two at the club right now. So I think it's fair to say that in the January transfer window, we're going to be doing a little bit of bringing in a centre-back, trying to get a centre-back in. Now, Nat Phillips, as it stands at the minute, is, I believe, the fifth choice centre-back at Liverpool. You've obviously got Van Dijk, you've got Gomez, you've got Matip, and you've got Konate, all ahead of him in the pecking order as a centre-back. So, at best, he's the fifth choice centre-back. However, I actually think he's a good player. Every time he's played against us, I think he's looked decent. He actually started, as I recalled this, he actually started the match against AC Milan last night, which Liverpool won 2-1. If you're not too much about this guy, he's 24 years of age. He's a centre-back, and that's pretty much his only position. He's 1.9 metres tall, and his contract runs until the 30th of June 2025. As I say, he's not really getting too much of a kick at Liverpool. If you look on the stats on Transfer Market, in terms of the Premier League, he's been in the starting 11 0% of the time. As far as his only minutes have come, he's got a couple of appearances in the Champions League and in the Carabao Cup. I mean, even the Carabao Cup, he's played barely anything at all. He's made one appearance, but that was from the bench. This is a player I'd actually quite like to get in through the door, but there's two other names that have also been linked. Another one from the Premier League being Nathan Ake. Now, Nathan Ake is currently at Manchester City. He's another player that's got a little bit of a opposition in terms of the position that he occupies. He's obviously got John Stones, he's got Aymeric Laporte, he's got Ruben Dias, who are all ahead of him in terms of being centre-back, although he does have a little bit more versatility than Nat Phillips, because he can also be deployed at left full-back and as a defensive midfielder. Now, could it be that might be something that David Moyes looks at, and that possibly he thinks that Nathan Ake has an advantage over Nat Phillips because obviously Nat Phillips is just a bog-standard centre-back, nothing more, nothing less, whereas Nathan Ake has a few more strings to his bow, and we obviously know that David Moyes likes players with a bit of versatility. He's 26 years of age, so he's a little bit older than Nat Phillips, but he is obviously tried, tested, proven in the Premier League. He has 23 caps for his native Netherlands. The only thing that would concern me with him, I remember a season or two ago that he had an injury that put him out for a period of time, and that's something that does concern me. But he's, like I say, he's tried and tested in the Premier League. He obviously was at Bournemouth before Manchester City, Chelsea before that. So he would obviously come with an awful lot of experience of playing at this level. But whilst he's got experience, as I say, he's only 26. So he's still, as far as a centre-back's concerned, he's still really got his prime years ahead of him. So the other player that has also tentatively been mentioned, now this is a guy that I saw, and I'm sure you did, at the first game that England played at the Euros just in the summer just gone, Duje Caleta-Car. Now, he's currently on the books at Marseille. He's Croatian international. And he is, in terms of the height profile, and I should have mentioned that Nathan Ake is 1.8 metres tall. So not the tallest of centre-backs, whether that might possibly be a negative, because we know that David Moyes likes to try and get players with a bit of height about them, because obviously we're quite big exponents of set-piece goals. Well, Duje Caleta-Car is 1.92 metres, which I think is probably about 6'5", something like that off the top of my head. He's 25 years of age. His contract runs until June 30th, 2023. And he's just a centre back. He's not got other strings to his bow like Nathan Ake, where he can be deployed as a defensive mid or a left back, right back, whatever. He's right-footed, and he's got 20 caps for the Croatian national team with 1 goal. Previous to being at Marseille, he was at RB Salzburg. He was also at FC Liefering in Austria. And he's, as I say, he's a player that when I saw him play for Croatia, I actually think he put Harry Kane effectively in his back pocket. I think all three of these players have their pluses and their minuses. I mean, you could say that Caleta-Car is the tallest, so that's a tick in that particular box. But Nate, he doesn't have Premier League experience, so how would he go in the Premier League? So that would probably count against him. Nathan Ake, something that goes in his favour is the fact that he's more versatile than the other two. He can play in more positions. However, he's the smallest of the three. And there's also that question mark over that injury that he got some time ago. Could that be a bit of a risk? Nat Phillips. Now, I think he's the one that personally I'm looking at. Like I say, in the games that I've seen him play, I think he's impressed me. He's the youngest of the three. And although he's not as tall as Caleta-Car, he's only, 2 centimetres smaller. So you're talking about basically an inch between the two. So not really too much to sort of be concerned about. My personal opinion, I think I'd go for Nat Phillips for sure, because as I say, he's 5th choice centre-back at Liverpool. He's realistically not going to get too much of an opportunity there. The only thing that maybe might be a bit of a problem there is out of the three of those players, his contract has, as it stands at the minute, another 4 years to run, 3.5 years to run. So he would obviously, in terms of that, might that mean that his price is maybe a little bit inflated because of that? But then again, having said that, as I say, this is Liverpool's 5th choice centre-back. So it may well be that he's looking at the age of 24 to move on to pastures new. It could be a good move for him. But to be fair, as I say, all three of these players have got pluses and minuses that I could argue for and against for each of them. Again, the comment sections below: Nathaniel Phillips from Liverpool, Nathan Ake from Manchester City, Duje Caleta-Car from Marseille for a centre-back. What do you think? What do you think that they would bring to the table as the whole package is concerned? Which is the player out of those three that you think would be the better fit for the squad in terms of what we need right now and in the coming months. Let me know what you think. As usual, comment sections below. And as usual, please don't forget to drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hit the bell icon to make sure you're notified of any new content as and when we upload it. And please consider sharing this on to your social media platforms. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Stay safe. Only one thing left to say. Come on, you Irons.